Leela had spent weeks training, her heart set on winning a medal in the big race. But when the awards were handed out, her name was never called. Devastated, Leela returned home, believing her efforts had gone unnoticed. But the next day, a mysterious package arrives at her door. What's inside will leave everyone speechless and change her life forever. Leela woke up early, her heart fluttering with excitement. Today was the day she had been waiting for, the big race at school. Leela loved running more than anything else in the world. For weeks, she had been practicing, running laps around her neighborhood, timing herself, and dreaming of the moment when she would finally win a medal. She could already imagine it, the shiny medal hanging around her neck, proof of all her hard work. "I'm going to make everyone proud," she whispered to herself as she tied her sneakers. At school, the atmosphere was buzzing. Kids were warming up, teachers were setting up the track, and parents were cheering from the sidelines. Lila's stomach was full of butterflies, but she knew she was ready. Her best friends, Maya and Zoe, waved at her from the crowd, giving her a thumbs up. Lila smiled nervously and took her place at the starting line. "On your marks, get set, go." The whistle blew, and Leela shot off like an arrow. Her legs pumped hard as she sprinted down the track, the wind rushing past her face. She could see 2 girls ahead of her, but she wasn't far behind. "I can do this," she thought, pushing herself harder. As she neared the finish line, Leela gave it everything she had left. She crossed the line just a moment after the second-place runner. She was sure she came in third. Her heart leaped with joy. She was going to win the bronze medal. But as the award ceremony began, Lila's excitement turned to confusion. The first-place winner received a gold medal, and the second-place runner took home silver. Then the teacher called the name for third place, someone else's name. Leela froze. She looked around, her heart pounding. What's happening? They must have made a mistake, she thought, her eyes filling with tears. She waited for someone to correct the announcement, but nobody did. The bronze medal was placed around another girl's neck, and the ceremony continued like nothing was wrong. Leela stood there, stunned. She blinked back her tears, trying to be strong, but the lump in her throat only grew bigger. As the crowd clapped, she quietly walked away, her feet heavy with disappointment. She didn't want anyone to see her cry, but her heart ached. The race was over, and she had no medal to show for all her hard work. "Maybe I wasn't fast enough," she whispered to herself, but deep down, she knew she had done her best. Something just didn't feel right. Could this all be a mistake? With tears rolling down her cheeks, Leela walked home alone, the sound of cheering still ringing in her ears. When Leila got home, her mom could tell right away that something was wrong. Lila's face, usually so bright and full of joy, looked empty. Her eyes were red, and she refused to look up as she walked through the door. "Sweetie, what happened?" her mom asked gently, kneeling down to meet her at eye level. She could see the sadness all over Leila's face. "I didn't get the medal, Mom," Leila whispered, her voice trembling. "I thought I was third. I was so sure, but they gave it to someone else." Her mom pulled her into a hug, holding her tightly. "Oh, Leila, I'm so sorry. I know how hard you worked for this." Leila sniffed, trying to hold back more tears. "It's not fair. I tried so hard, and nobody even noticed." Her mom stroked her hair, trying to find the right words to comfort her. "I know it feels unfair right now, but that doesn't change how amazing you are. You gave it your best, and that's what really matters." But Leila didn't feel amazing. She felt invisible, like all her hard work had meant nothing. She practiced every single day, pushing herself to be faster and stronger. She had dreamed about that moment for so long, and now it was gone. "Why didn't they see me?" Leila muttered, more to herself than to her mom. "Wasn't I good enough?" Her mom pulled back to look at her. "Leila, you are more than good enough. Sometimes things don't go the way we want them to, but that doesn't mean you're not incredible. You'll have many more races ahead of you, and this is just one of them." But Leela couldn't shake the feeling that she had been overlooked, that somehow she didn't matter as much as the other kids. Everyone at school saw her running. She wasn't imagining it. They all saw her cross that finish line. Why didn't anyone speak up? Why didn't anyone say something? She thought about telling her friends, but the words stuck in her throat. What if they thought she was just complaining or making excuses? She didn't want to sound like a sore loser, so instead, she stayed quiet. The loneliness weighed heavily on her, and she wondered if anyone really cared about how hard she had worked. That night, Leela lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her mind raced with questions she couldn't answer. She felt confused and frustrated, like the world had played a trick on her. Why didn't she deserve the medal? Was she not good enough? The sadness in her chest felt like a heavy stone she couldn't move. The next morning, Leela dragged herself out of bed, still feeling empty inside. As she sat at the breakfast table, there was a sudden knock on the door. Her mom looked up from her coffee, a puzzled expression on her face. "Are we expecting someone?" she asked. Leela shook her head, equally confused. Her mom stood up and walked to the door, peeking through the window before slowly opening it. A delivery person stood outside, holding a large, beautifully wrapped box. "For Leela," the person said with a smile, handing the package to her mom. Leela's heart skipped a beat. What could this be? Leela stared at the large, beautifully wrapped box sitting on the kitchen table. It was covered in shiny blue paper, with a bright silver ribbon tied into a perfect bow on top. Her name was written on a small white tag, but there was no other information. No sender, no message, just "for Leela." "Who would send me something?" Leela asked, her voice a mix of confusion and wonder. She glanced at her mom, who shook her head, just as puzzled as Leela. "Well, open it up and find out," her mom said softly, giving her a reassuring smile. Leela's heart was pounding. She reached out slowly and tugged on the ribbon, untying it with trembling fingers. As she carefully peeled back the wrapping paper, she felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. What could possibly be inside? Finally, Leela lifted the lid of the box and gasped. Inside was the most beautiful trophy she had ever seen. It wasn't just any trophy, it was golden, shining brightly, almost glowing. The smooth surface reflected the light, making it sparkle with every movement. It was taller than any trophy she'd ever seen in school, with elegant curves and engravings that caught the eye. Her hand shook as she lifted it out of the box, feeling its weight in her small hands. She couldn't believe it. "Mom, what is this?" Leela whispered, her voice filled with awe. Her mom leaned in closer, just as astonished as Leela. "I don't know, sweetheart, but it's beautiful. There's a letter too." Leela's heart raced even faster. She gently placed the trophy on the table and picked up the folded letter sitting underneath it. Her fingers trembled as she opened it, the paper feeling crisp and cool in her hands. She took a deep breath and began to read the letter aloud, her voice shaky with anticipation. "Dear Leela, we wanted to send you something very special. After reviewing the race results carefully, we discovered that you should have placed third in the competition. We deeply regret the error made during the award ceremony. However, what stood out even more than your athletic performance was your perseverance and incredible spirit. You didn't just run the race. You inspired everyone around you with your courage and determination. For that reason, we have created a special award in your honor, the Courage Award. This trophy is given to someone who shows not just speed, but true strength of heart. Leela, you have earned this trophy, and we hope you will always remember how powerful your spirit is. Congratulations, and keep running toward your dreams." Leela's eyes widened as she finished reading. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. She hadn't just been recognized for her running. She was being celebrated for something even bigger. Her heart swelled with emotions she couldn't quite explain. Shock, disbelief, joy, and confusion all swirled around inside her. "I don't understand." Leela said softly, looking up at her mom, her voice filled with wonder. Why me? Her mom knelt down beside her and gently touched her shoulder. Because, Leela, you didn't give up. You kept going, and people saw that. They saw your courage. Leela stared at the golden trophy again, her hands still shaking. It was more beautiful than any medal she could have imagined. And yet, a part of her still couldn't believe this was happening. How could something so magical come after such a sad, disappointing day? I didn't win the race, she whispered. But they gave me this. Her mom smiled and nodded. Sometimes, Leela, what we earn is bigger than we expect. You didn't just win a race. You showed everyone what it means to never give up. Leela blinked, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to fall. This was more than she had ever hoped for. The sadness from yesterday faded away, replaced by a feeling of pride and excitement. A new award created just for her, the Courage Award. I can't believe it, Leela whispered, her voice cracking slightly. She didn't know if she wanted to cry or jump for joy. I didn't think anyone noticed how hard I was trying. Her mom knelt down beside her, putting a hand on her shoulder. Oh, sweetheart. They did notice. You didn't just run that race. You gave it your all. That's something special, something not everyone has the courage to do. Leela felt a wave of emotions flooding through her. For so long, she had doubted herself, thinking that maybe she wasn't fast enough or good enough. But now, she realized that what mattered wasn't just winning. It was the effort, the heart she put into everything she did. As she held the trophy, a sense of overwhelming pride and joy filled her. But along with that happiness came a little knot of nervousness in her stomach. She was the first person ever to receive this award. What would her friends at school think? Would they understand why she was given something so special? Or would they think she didn't deserve it? What if they think it's weird, Mom? Leela asked, her voice small. What if they don't understand why I got this? Her mom smiled gently. Leela, people will always have their own opinions, but what's important is that you know how hard you worked. This award isn't just about what others see. It's about how you carried yourself. And no matter what anyone says, you've earned this moment. Leela nodded, still unsure but starting to feel a little more confident. Her fingers traced the edges of the trophy, and she felt her heart swell with pride. She thought back to the race, to how she had pushed herself even when it was hard, how she had refused to give up. The next morning, Leela walked to school with the golden trophy tucked carefully inside her backpack. Her heart pounded with nervousness. What would her classmates think when they saw it? Would they think she didn't deserve it? She had spent the entire night worrying about how everyone would react. As she approached the school gates, her best friends Maya and Zoe spotted her from across the playground and waved excitedly. Lila managed a small smile, but the knot in her stomach tightened. She didn't know how to explain the trophy or the special award she'd received. What if they thought it was unfair? When the bell rang, Leela hurried into class. Her teacher, Ms. Rivera, was already standing at the front of the room, a kind smile on her face. Lila sat at her desk, hoping to hide the trophy until she could figure out what to say. But Ms. Rivera had other plans. Class, Ms. Rivera announced, clapping her hands to get everyone's attention. I have some exciting news to share today. Our very own Leela has received a special honor, something that has never happened before at our school. Leela's cheeks flushed with warmth as all eyes turned toward her. Slowly, she reached into her backpack and pulled out the gleaming golden trophy. Gasps filled the room as everyone stared at it, their eyes wide with amazement. What is it? Someone asked from the back. Ms. Rivera smiled proudly. Leela was awarded the Courage Award for her outstanding perseverance and heart during the race. It's not just about running fast. It's about showing true strength of spirit. Lila's courage and dedication inspired everyone who watched her, and that's why she was chosen for this incredible honor. For a moment, the room was silent. Leela felt her heart hammering in her chest. Then, Maya and Zoe were the first to react. They jumped out of their seats and rushed over to Leela. wrapping her in a tight hug. "Leela, this is amazing," Maya squealed. "We always knew you were special," Zoe added, beaming. Before Leela could even respond, the entire class burst into applause. Kids clapped and cheered, and for the first time since the race, Leela felt a wave of relief wash over her. She wasn't left out or ignored. Instead, she was celebrated, and not just for running fast, but for something deeper. As the day went on, Lila's classmates congratulated her, and the fear she'd carried in her heart slowly melted away. She felt accepted, proud, and happy, more than she ever thought she could after such a difficult experience. At the end of the school day, just as Leela was about to head home, one of the girls who had won a medal during the race, a tall, quiet girl named Emily, walked up to her. She looked shy, her eyes darting to the ground before meeting Leela's. "Hey Leela," Emily said softly. "I've been thinking about what happened at the race. And well, I think this belongs to you." Leela's eyes widened in surprise as Emily held out her bronze medal. "You deserve this too," Emily said with a kind smile. "You should have gotten it at the race, and I think it's only fair you have it now." Leela was stunned. She looked down at the bronze medal in Emily's hand, unable to believe what was happening. She already had the golden trophy, the Courage Award. But now, Emily was offering her the medal she had worked so hard for too. Tears welled up in Leela's eyes as she took the medal from Emily. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "This means so much to me." Emily smiled and gave Leela a quick hug before turning to walk away. Lila stood there, holding both the bronze medal and the golden trophy in her hands, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude and joy. She had started the week feeling lost, disappointed, and overlooked. But now, as she held these two symbols of her hard work and courage, she realized that sometimes life has unexpected surprises waiting around the corner. Surprises that are even better than what we expect. With a smile on her face, Leela knew that this was a moment she would never forget. She had learned that even when things seem unfair, there is always a chance for something beautiful to happen. And in the end, what mattered most was never giving up. If you loved Leela's story of courage, perseverance, and unexpected surprises, don't miss out on more heartwarming and inspiring tales. Subscribe now to stay updated with the latest stories that will uplift your spirits and ignite your imagination.